That we have is, okay, so Belly Mujinga's family. Obviously, Belly Mujinga was a victim of a racist attack, but it was really that her job did not give her the safety measures to be allowed to be vulnerable at home. They did not see her as a vulnerable woman and so put her at risk. So we've communicated with Belly Mujinga's family, and they have discussed with us that because we are abolitionists and we recognise that putting one person from the corporation that made Belly be in that job, putting them in prison is not going to change the system at all. We need to target the system. And so we need to change the system so that people like Belly, it will never happen again. We need to make sure workers' rights are protected. We need to make sure that racism and anti-racist training is put into those institutions, into those companies, and not in a way that is a tick box, but that people are really held accountable. That every year, every 5 years, there's an interview that happens where they are really having to come to terms with their racism and their white supremacy that is ingrained in them. Furthermore, we've also spoken with Shukri Abdi's family. I don't know if everybody knows the story of Shukri Abdi, but she was a 12-year-old girl who was murdered by 14-year-old schoolmates of hers. Schoolmates, that's what they wanted to say in the case. And the case was closed because the kids who were used as witnesses said that Shukri jumped into a pool of water that she couldn't swim into. So what we want to happen is that refugees get more support, and we've spoken with Shukri Abdi's family, and that's what they want. We want mentors for children of people who have sought asylum into this country, so they get carried into their way so they can actually have an opportunity to be successful. We also have an international outreach that we want to do in these demands, and that's to end the enslavement that's happening in Libya. It's to reform the countries that have been ex-colonies, to make it sure that the countries in Africa and the countries in the Caribbean who have been deprived of being financially and economically successful get the reparations that they need.
Stop the money, taking the money out of the country.
Yeah, exactly, precisely. Stop taking money out of those countries and stop neo-colonialism, because I don't know if everybody knows, but China is a really big force in neo-colonizing these countries in Africa and the Caribbean. And we need to make sure that we have autonomy in those countries. We don't have, look, if you want to be an ally here, don't be telling us what is factual and what is not, because I've done my research.
My research is right, it's true. Wow. It's true.
Anyway, we're not here for allies who want to be telling us how to protest. Aside from that, we need a lot of healing in our community. If we want to go far as a community, we need to make sure that we're addressing the problems and the sicknesses that have been put into this community. Things like misogyny, things like patriarchy, and teaching men that they are better than women are all a product of colonialism. Because in our societies before, we never had these structures where women were seen as less than, where women were treated as objects, and we need to reclaim that. We need to decolonize our minds. And that means when we talk of protecting black women, don't make this an empty statement. It needs to be consciously thought of. And that means reflecting on the ways that you have harmed black women in your past. Don't be just focusing on, oh yeah, I protect black women. Reflect on it. Think about the times where you made black woman feel like she was an object. Think about the times you disregarded a black woman's opinion. Think about the times where you made a black woman feel like shit because of the color of her skin, whether it was dark. Think about the colorism that's ingrained in your head that makes you think that lighter skinned people are better looking than darker skinned women. These are all the reflections that we need to do. And protecting black women means re-educating yourself on what consent means. What does it mean to consent to sex? What does it mean to consent to relationships with people? What does it mean to be an abuser? If you're serious about protecting black women, if you're serious about protecting any women, you need to think about the ways that you have harmed them, because if you don't, you will continue to harm us.